So start off our review for this particular assignment. We're going to review our vocabulary. So if you'll recall, this 3 here, the number in front of the variable is our coefficient. And then the letter is our variable. And the little number at the top up here, this is our exponent. We'll be using those words a lot, so it's just good to review them. Our first problem is 4x squared plus 6x plus 3x squared plus 2, and we are going to simplify the expression. That's our instructions on this. So if you recall, when you're simplifying the expression, you are combining like terms. Like terms are terms that have the same variables and the same exponents. So if I'm looking at this particular problem, well, I have a 4x squared and I have a negative 3x squared. So since 4x squared and negative 3x squared both have x squared, I know they go together. I cannot combine anything else together because there's nothing else with just x, because we have our x here. Well, this is the only term with an x, so that term is going to stay by itself. And then our plus 2 out here, it's going to also be by itself because we can't combine anything with it. So we have, again, our 4 minus 3. Well, 4 minus 3 is 1, x squared, plus, I'm going to bring down my 6x, I can't combine anything else with it, and then my plus 2. And this would be my final answer. For this problem, we are going to distribute and combine like terms, or distribute and simplify. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute this negative 2. Remember, distribute means I am multiplying. So negative 2 times x is negative 2x. Negative 2 times 6 is negative 12. Positive 4 times x is positive 4x. And positive 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. So I'm looking for my like terms now. My like terms are terms with the same variables and the same exponents. So negative 2x and positive 4x are like terms. And I also know that negative 12 and negative 4 are like terms because neither of them have exponents. So negative 2 plus 4 is going to be a positive 2x. And then my negative 12 minus 4 is going to be negative 16. So my final answer would be 2x minus 16. So again, we are simplifying this expression. So simplifying means we're combining our like terms. Now this one's a little more complicated because it has a lot of x's and y's, so you've got to pay really close attention. So this first one has x squared y. There's nothing else that has x squared y, so this is its own term. So it's going to be part of our answer. I have 4xy, and notice that I also have negative 7xy. So that means 4xy and negative 7xy are like terms. So we have a positive 4 minus 7. 4 minus 7 is going to give us negative 3xy. And then lastly, I have my xy squared. There's nothing else for it to go with, so it's going to be part of my answer, negative 2xy squared. So my final answer would be 3x squared y minus 3xy minus 2xy squared. All right, so now we're going to practice our solving. So whenever we see an equal sign, this means we need to solve. Okay, and if we're going to be solving this, that means we're trying to get y by itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my line through the equal sign. I'm going to label my sides to give me a guide, my y's and my numbers. So what's out of place then is this plus 2. It doesn't have y with it. So to get rid of something, remember we do the opposite operations. The opposite of adding 2 is subtracting 2. And the rule says whatever you do to one side of the equation, you must also do to the other side. So 2 minus 2 is going to cancel, and I'm left with y equals 12 minus 2 is 10. So that would be my answer to my first question, y equals 10. For this one, it's a little bit different because it's set up differently, but that's okay. We have negative 3 plus x equals 5. So again, we're solving for x this time. So our x is on one side and our number is on the other. So I need to get rid of this minus 3 that's here. That's what's out of place. So the opposite of minus 3 or negative 3 is plus 3. So I'm going to add 3 to both sides. Minus 3 plus 3 cancel. I'm left with x equals 5 plus 3 is 8. That's going to be my answer. You can always go back and check your answer to see if in fact you did it correctly by plugging it back into the original problem. So that's what I'm going to do here. So I'm going to draw a little squiggle line and I'm going to try it. I'm going to check my work. So I'm going to put a check mark there. So instead of y in my original problem, I'm going to put 10 plus 2. And I want to see if I really do get 12. Well, 10 plus 2 is 12. So this works because both sides are equal. I'm going to do the same thing here. I have negative 3 plus, instead of x, I'm going to put 8 because I know that x equals 8. And I want to see if that's really 5. Well, negative 3 plus 5 is like owing $3 but having 8. So if you owe $3 and you have 8, that means you really have 5 because you're going to pay off your debt. And our answer was the same on both sides. So this worked. Last two problems. Do not forget that if you have a number and a letter next to each other, that in fact means they are multiplied. So when I'm solving here, I need to again get x by itself and numbers on the other side. So the opposite of multiplying by negative 2 is to divide both sides by negative 2. So I get x equals 14 divided by negative 2 is negative 7. If I want to check that, which I'm going to check that, I'm going to plug that back in. So my original problem said negative 2 times x. Instead of x, I'm going to put negative 7. That should give me 14. Negative 2 times negative 7 is positive because a negative times a negative is a positive. And 2 times 7 is 14. So since they are equal, this worked. So x equals negative 7 is my answer. Ooh, we got fraction here. I gave you this one on purpose. So we're solving this for y. All right, if I have 1 over 4 times y, this is the exact same thing as saying y divided by 4 equals 5. So the opposite of dividing by 4 is to multiply both sides by 4. Those 4's on the left are going to cancel, so I'm left with y equals 5 times 4 is 20. I want to verify that that is in fact correct, so I'm going to plug it back in. I'm going to plug it into the y over 4. So instead of y, I'm going to put 20 over 4. And I'm going to see if I get 5. Well, 20 divided by 4 is 5. Both sides equaled 5, so that means 20 was my answer.